been in this industry for quite some time now, 19 years actually. We stumbled upon this industry after being kicked out of college, and we were delivering pizzas, and we struggled the first few years. But we bought the dream. We bought the dream of we're here in the U.S., of being able to build a business to the point that we could make $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month. That was my goal. That was my goal. I felt like if I got to 10 grand a month, I'd be on the mountaintop. I'd be at the pinnacle. And we finally got there. And as a matter of fact, the first time we got there was because, in large part, to Boomy Moore, Aya Boomy Moore, the young lady who just did the introduction and the Empower Me Now moment, and her parents. She's a second-generation networker, Zeke and Jerry Stewart. Aya Boomy Moore was my enroller in a business in this industry, and that's the first company that we hit it big, in large part due to her leadership and to Zeke and Jerry. Now, so we hit the 10 grand mark, and then 12 grand and 15 grand and so on and so forth. And what I was not prepared for, Terrence and Isaiah, was the empty feeling that we had. See, I thought once we hit 10 grand a month, Nelson, that we'd be on cloud nine. I wasn't prepared for the empty feeling, knowing that while we made really good money, our Joe average and our Sue average, and most of our teams will be made up of great people, but people that aren't great at recruiting or sponsoring, and they weren't making money. Until we ran across a model a couple of years ago that completely changed everything. And you're going to see how JubyRev, JubyMax is building upon that dynamic model. So JubyRev, ladies and gentlemen, is our company's promoter side. This is our marketing side. This is where we're going to get paid. JubyMax is our customer portal. This is where we're going to have everything from high-demand products like skincare, weight loss, energy, and vitality, to travel-related products. That's a $7 trillion industry in and of itself, to the online shopping world. Now, the name Juby, when I first heard that name, I chuckled a little bit, and I thought, Juby? What in the world is a Juby? And our management team said, well, go look up the word jubilant, because Juby is short for jubilant. And one of the synonyms for jubilant is triumphant. See, a couple of years ago, we had struggled those first few years. We finally hit our stride. I had that empty feeling because we were making big money, but most of our teams weren't. And then a couple of years ago, we ran across a model, a revenue sharing model, where the companies would share most of its commissionable dollars would be shared with the entire field force. So not just the big business builders. And that changed everything. We're going to talk about that tonight. So JubyRev, our promoter side, that's where you and I are going to reside. We want to be triumphant. We're going to show you that Joe and Susie average will be able to be very triumphant with our model. JubyMax, well, jubilant. Let's think about it. That means thrilled. Jubilant also means excited, ecstatic, elated, exuberant. We want our customers to be thrilled, excited, elated, exuberant about our product. Now, we're going to show you tonight how average everyday people are going to be able to change their lifestyles in record time. The question is, are you ready? Now, we've got a phenomenal vision, ladies and gentlemen. Without a vision, folks don't make it. Without a vision, people perish. Our vision is to spark a global economic movement, lead the revenue sharing revolution. Revenue sharing is a type of compensation model. We're going to lead that revolution. At the same time, from a product standpoint, we're going to empower people around the globe to look good, feel good, and live good. Now, you can have a great vision statement, but you really need visionary leadership to help lead us into this revenue sharing revolution. So let me introduce you to our visionary president. Mr. J. Joshua Beisel is our president, and the beautiful part about President Beisel, a lot of people, a lot of times in the marketing world, the person that is the president was maybe a promoter, just came out of the field, but they may not have executive experience. The great thing about Mr. Beisel is that he was president of a top alternative energy company, a traditional business, traveled all across the globe. And like so many people, you know, things happen. One thing that happened with Mr. Beisel is while he was traveling across the globe and pulling 80 hours, he and his lovely wife got pregnant, which was the joy of the life. Unfortunately, it was a very difficult pregnancy. And then after his wife delivered, it was even difficult thereafter. He had to make the decision to come away from corporate America. Lived off some savings for a while, and then that started to dwindle. And he started thinking, hey, I need to be a stay-at-home dad. I need to be a stay-at-home father. What can I do? By that time, he had blown through a lot of his savings, and he got started in the home business career, listen at this, with a borrowed budget, ladies and gentlemen, of $55.36. He has parlayed that over the last few years into multiple seven-figure enterprises, and he is now the founder and CEO of the world's largest independent MLM call center in the world, located in the Phoenix, Arizona area. So our corporate highlights, our company is actually a British Virgin Island company. We've got offices in the U.S., in Phoenix, Arizona. There will be other international locations that will be opening up soon. We've got fully staffed customer support, in-house software development team, in-house legal team, industry leading MLM attorneys, a compliant business model, compliant compensation plan. And here's the key, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you judge to see if a company is here for a short run, a nice 1-year, 2-year deal, not interested in that, or if they're here for the long haul. Do they have high demand products and services that consumers that have nothing to do with the income opportunity are going to want to consume? And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to figure that out. So JubyRev is our company's marketing arm. We're going to lead the revenue sharing revolution. We're not just a company. We are a movement. JubyMax, our company's customer portal. We want you to look good. We want you to feel good. We want you to live good. Now, let me tell you what we saw a couple years ago. So here we had been in the industry, struggled early on, finally hit our stride, made our 10, 15, 20,000 a month or more, go to the bank, empty feeling, because we know that the majority of our team, Joe and Susie Average, weren't making even enough money in many cases to cover their monthly auto ship or monthly subscription or whatever the business requirements happen to be. And then we stumbled across this revenue sharing model, and all of a sudden we saw the same Joe and Susie Averages that had problems recruiting and selling. We saw the same Joe and Susie Averages a few months into the model, maybe generating enough to cover a car note. Maybe a few months later, one Susie Average in particular comes to mind, who had been with us 8 years and hadn't really made any money. A few months after that, she was making enough to pay a house note. A few months after that, about 14, 15 months leveraging the model, she was at a point where she was able to have a full-time income. And ladies and gentlemen, she still didn't become a great recruiter or a great business builder, and yet the power of this model. So let's start to share that with you. Now, the company is going to pay 10 dynamic ways. I don't have time to cover all 10 ways. The one way that you and I want to really focus in on is the JubyRev Daily Leadership Bonus. Now, let me tell you this. We're in a pre-registration stage right now. Nobody's paid a dime for anything. We're about to move into our pre-launch stage, which is going to start this coming Thursday. We'll give you more information so you can make that webinar. Our president will be on with us, giving you all the details. Ultimately, from our pre-launch, we're going to go into what we call our soft launch stage, and that's when this JubyRev Daily Leadership Bonus will start. We're just a few weeks out. What's going to happen is this. Every day that the company generates revenue, it's going to share up to 50%, sometimes even more of that revenue with every qualified promoter in our system. Now, I'll share with you what you need to do to be qualified, but here's what you need to get, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have to recruit other promoters in order to be qualified. By the way, the company refers to us as promoters as opposed to reps or distributors or so on, or affiliates. They refer to us as promoters. So I want you to understand how huge this is. You may not be the big business builder, but I'm looking on the webinar, and there's a gentleman by the name of Tyron from Trinidad and Tobago who's got one of the largest teams right now in all of JubyRev, JubyMax. Well, maybe you didn't enroll him. Yet, as his team continues to grow and they help provide production, meaning people buy and products and services because of Tyron's team, guess what? You're going to override Tyron's production, even though you didn't enroll him. I'm looking at another gentleman who is absolutely tearing it up out there in Vegas, Byron and his sister, I believe. Byron's been kicking it, and his sister is now on the Leaders Bulletin. I think she's number 8 in the company in terms of personal enrollments. You may not even know Byron. You may not even know, I think it's Bridget. You may not even know Bridget. And yet, as they build their team and that produces production for the company and revenue for the company, you're going to override it. Essentially, what will happen is that we will override, Khalil, we'll override the production, my friend, of the entire company. Transactions happening in Pakistan, transactions happening in the U.S., in the Philippines, in Europe, in Africa, South America, the islands, we will override it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what we need to get is at the income opportunity. We're going to get into the income opportunity, but first we need to understand that it's only as good as the product offering. Let's look at our products and services real quickly. Now, one of the things that our president is insistent on is that we have products and services that people are already buying and consuming. There's already a very high demand. We don't have to try to educate people on this particular product category or what have you. Skincare is one of the biggest movers of product online. And all you have to do is look at some of the companies that have been stalwarts in our industry. Avon, number 1 in our industry. They do $11 billion a year in business. Mary Kay, $2.5 billion a year in business. Amway, $9.2 billion a year in business. All of these companies have a skincare line. Go to the mall the next time and look at all the skincare. Then we've got weight loss, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the biggest keywords typed into Google. People looking to lose weight, looking for good products to help them to lose weight. We'll have our own Juby branded product line, our own Juby weight loss line, our own Juby skincare line, which will include, our Juby trainer series. So that not only are people losing weight, but they start to get more fit and keeping that weight off. Our energy, ladies and gentlemen, I love this product. I wish I had time to really talk to you about it, but I can tell you we've been working with corporate. We've been working with support. We've been working with management team. I'm a promoter just like you. I just want to make sure that the field has a very loud voice, and so we've been tapped to be a liaison in this early stage. There'll be so many others that will also fulfill those types of roles. For a 96-hour period, ladies and gentlemen, we were working through the night, 4 nights straight. We got about 9 hours of sleep over a 96-hour period. Because we were taking this energy product, we never felt jitters. We had a sustained, productive energy. You're going to want that product, ladies and gentlemen. Vitality. Look at how she's looking at him. Look at how he's looking at her. This is a family show, but you can probably figure out what that means for that product. I was talking with the manufacturer a couple weeks ago. I had the privilege to talk with the manufacturer. We wanted to learn some things so we could start doing some training when that time came for us to start shipping out product. And I just assumed that the men's formula, Nelson, was going to go. It was going to fly off the shelf. I just knew Terrence, one of our great leaders, who's also on the Leaders Bulletin in the top 10. Terrence Burns, good to see you, buddy. I just knew the men's formula was going to fly off the shelf. I wasn't prepared when he told me, you should see what happens with that woman's formula. Now, we may never get any Facebook or YouTube testimonials about those products, but if they work, you just keep using them, okay? Now, the president said we need to go a step further. These are high-demand products. People are going to buy them anyway. We're simply going to have them to transfer their spending to buy them through us. We're going to give them some huge incentives to do so. But we also want folks to be able to buy things that they normally buy. They're used to buying from Walmart. They're used to buying from Best Buy. They're used to buying from Office Depot and Staples and 1-800-Flowers and so on and so forth, Groupon. They're used to doing that. Why don't we have a platform so that they can buy from the stores they're used to buying from, but they get a rebate. And so now when they make a purchase, they may get a 2 or 3 or 5 or 10% rebate coming back to them. Remember what Mama told us. She said a penny saved is a penny earned. Did your mama teach you that? My mom did. What did they do? Go to the same mom school? And so we understand, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a way to generate more revenue. Why? Because every time my wife and I go through our Juby Rebates portal, because we're going to spend a few $100s a month at Walmart anyway, and we go to Walmart through the Juby Rebates portal, maybe we get a gift card, so we go right down to our regular store, we buy it through the portal, ladies and gentlemen, we get 2, maybe 3 or 4% cash back. The company also gets a piece. So they may get 1%. They may get 2%. Now, why is that important? You heard when Mrs. Ayabumi Moore was doing the introductions that we had people here from the UK, and we had people here from Australia, and we had people here from New Zealand, and we had people here from Europe and the US and Canada and Philippines. And so what happens when we've got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of promoters, and then ultimately even millions of consumers just going, making purchases they would normally make anyway, but through our portal, so they get a rebate, and the company gets a little piece, and they share that with us on a daily basis. Mr. J. Joshua Bice, the president, said, we're not going to stop there. There's another huge industry that's there. There's $7 trillion travel industry, and we need to make sure we get a piece of that. We're going to start off with our Juby Resort membership, ladies and gentlemen. I was so excited. I was hearing last night, I was having a conversation with management last night, and management was saying, hey, with our Juby Resort membership, folks are going to be able to travel all across the globe, over 2,000 luxury resorts in over 85 countries. He said, now, instead of them having to go to a timeshare presentation and get upsold on the timeshare, they're just going to get their 8-day, 7-night stay. It might be 2 bedrooms that sleeps 8. It might be 3 bedrooms that sleeps 10. And it gave me some pricing, and it blew me away. He said, for instance, well, I'm looking at the engine right now, and here is a really nice resort in a highly trafficked area, let's say Orlando, that would normally for the week go for about $1,200 to $1,300 for the week. I'm thinking, well, that's pretty good. He said, well, here's the thing. Our customers would be able to get that week for maybe $499 for the week. So really? Are you serious? And then he said, hey, remember that thing about something called a Juby Buck? They'll actually be able to apply some Juby Bucks towards that and maybe only have to pay out of pocket something like $399 for a week for an 8-day, 7-night stay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm flying out to Phoenix next week so that we can meet with our president. And the rates I'm getting to stay at the hotel, at a decent-sized hotel, is almost $200 a night. And here we're talking about me and my family being able to stay 2 bedrooms sleeping 8, 3 bedrooms sleeping 10 in a resort area for what is going to cost me a couple of nights to stay out in Phoenix for. Powerful, powerful. Now, I want you to understand something that's happening here. This is a 45-minute presentation, and I haven't even started talking about the money yet. Why is this important? Because any business that's going to be here for the test of time must be built upon a solid foundation of high-demand products and services. There's a lot of things on the internet, ladies and gentlemen, that say, hey, you get paid a lot of money, but at the core of it, there's really no products or services. And that's why we're spending this time here. What's our competitive advantage from a product and service standpoint? Here's our competitive advantage. We get to give away samples. We get to give away samples in the form of what we call Juby Bucks, and we get to give away samples in that we get to actually give away physical samples of our weight loss and skincare. Let's talk about Juby Bucks for just a moment. Let's say that here's Kim, and she registers to be a free customer of yours. Now, you might know Kim, and she registered. You might have posted it on your Facebook. We'll place an ad a day as one of our qualifiers so that we earn on a daily basis. Maybe she saw your ad. A number of ways that she could have become a free customer of yours. Now, she becomes a free customer, meaning that she registers for free, and you give her some Juby bucks. You give her some Juby bucks. A Juby buck is a dollar for dollar discount on products that Kim may buy in our Juby brand portal. So let's say Kim goes and she purchases some skincare. She gets to the checkout. It's $100 for the skincare that she wants to purchase. Okay, wait a minute though. You gave her 50 Juby bucks. She can apply the 50 Juby bucks to the $100 purchase. I'm speaking in U.S. dollar terms. So instead of her paying $100 at checkout, she pays the 100 minus the 50 that she gets to apply, so really 50 bucks plus whatever the shipping and handling happens to be. What did she receive? She got a right now win discount. Now, as excited as we are about our Juby rebates, where she'll can also go and make purchases from Walmart and Target and Old Navy and Groupon and get her 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% cash back. That 2, 3, 4, 5% cash back is going to be a little bit down the road, maybe 30 or 60 days, depending on the merchant. This savings she got on our Juby branded products was when? Right now. She'll also be able to use some Juby bucks to offset a resort booking if she books an 8-day, 7-night vacation through our Juby resorts. The other way that we're going to be able to give out samples is to actually have our manufacturers send physical samples to our registered customer. So whether that customer wants to get a full 30-day supply of, let's say, skincare or weight loss, or whether that our customer just wants a sample of one bottle, or maybe one bottle from the skincare line or what have you. You'll be able to send them a sample. Now, what's the purpose of the samples? Possession is 9/10 of the law. We want the customer to touch, feel, use, fall in Juby. We want them to be Juby about the product, jubilant, excited, exuberant, so that when they consume the product and they are running out of the product, they then come back to your Juby portal to buy some more. And by the way, let's put those two together. So you gave someone a sample, skincare, weight loss, energy, vitality, some other product lines that I haven't even talked about. They consume it. They want to come back now and buy some more, and perhaps you even gave them some Juby bucks so that they can take those Juby bucks and buy more, but buy more at a discount because they utilize the Juby bucks. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is absolutely phenomenal from a consumer end. It could stand on its own without a compensation model. But since it can stand on its own without a compensation model, what would happen if the company wrapped all of this around the most explosive compensation model I've seen in my 19 years, having built now 4 7-figure business interests in those 19 years. This will be our 5th. This will be by far our biggest. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm planting my flag here. This is my last stand. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I've been looking for. Let's talk about the income opportunity now. Now, the company's going to pay us 10 different ways, and we certainly do not have time to cover all 10 ways. I'm going to talk about the JubyRev Daily Leadership Bonus. This is the daily revenue share, and from that, I'm going to cover that, how that works, and I'll be able to maybe highlight just a little part of another part of the compensation. So we'll probably cover about 1.5 of the 10 ways that the company pays. Let's talk about the daily leadership bonuses. This is what we are really building our compensation model around, on the foundation of solid products and services, but the compensation being built around the daily leadership bonuses. Okay, for us to get this, the first thing we need to understand is something called a Juby point. We want to accrue as many Juby points as possible. This is how the company is going to determine how much of that day's revenue does Dean receive versus how much does Paula receive, or how much does Vicky or Viola or Sheila receive. It's based on our Juby points. So here's what happens. Each and every time you have customers register and we give them Juby bucks on the Juby Max gift card, or we give them access to our Juby Resorts booking engine, or we send them a sample coming from our manufacturer, so you don't have to hoard it up in your garage or in your basement. They want the sample. We send the sample of our Juby branded products to them. Anytime any of those activities happen, ladies and gentlemen, you earn Juby points. So essentially, we are going to earn Juby points by giving away samples. It could be samples of our weight loss products, as an example. Okay, now, multiple ways to earn Juby points, but here's a quick chart. You give away a Juby buck. Remember, you gave Kim maybe 50 Juby bucks in our example. Every Juby buck you give away, that will ultimately earn you 1 Juby point. You have Juby brand products that are shipped out to that customer as a sample. You're going to earn Juby points. And there are other ways for you to earn Juby points as well. All we really need to understand is if I give away samples, I earn Juby points. The more samples I give away, the more Juby points are earned. Samples could be in the form of Juby bucks, could be in the form of a physical sample, giving access to the resort booking engine. The more I give, the more I get. The more I give, the more I get. The more I give, the more I get. Now, I'm going to give you an example here. Mr. Attorney, Mrs. Attorney would like us to convey that this is an example of how the Juby Rev Daily Leadership Bonus works and is not meant to imply any income guarantees. Okay, so this is how this is going to work. And again, we're a few weeks out from this part of the compensation being live, but just a few short weeks. All right, here we go. So Juby Rev has its generates revenue for that day, and it's going to calculate its daily leadership bonus value based on the daily commissionable sales volume the company's brought in that day. It's going to share up to 50%, sometimes even more, through the Juby Rev Daily Leadership Bonus System. So in effect, the company brings in revenue, decides how much it's going to share, basically puts it into a pool. So Tyron in Trinidad and Tobago, he's building a phenomenal business. Frank from Germany by way of Thailand is building a phenomenal business. My buddy Coach building a phenomenal business. Suzanne over there in France building a heck of a business. Well, all of that production that all these great leaders and Joe and Susie averages all combined, as production goes through, company generates revenue. It's going to share up to 50% of that, put it into a pool, and then we're going to share, get a pro rata share of that day's reward. Now, what will happen is the company then takes the amount of the revenue, it's going to share that day. It's going to divide that by the number of active Juby points. So the more Juby points you have, the more your earnings will be that particular day. What this does is this creates across the board a reward for each Juby point. The beautiful part about that is it doesn't matter if you're Joe or Susie average or you're Joe or Susie superstar. Whatever the reward was for every point that night, everyone got the same reward per point. So this gives everyone a chance to generate revenue. All right, so this is how this works. So let's say in this example, the company generates $1 million today in commissionable sales volume, $1 million. It elects to share 50% of that, or $500,000. So that's the amount that the company's putting in the pool based on this example. Now, each point will receive a reward that night. Now, let me tell you what we're not going to say. The company will never share this. You are never going to share this. This is not going to show up on a YouTube video, or it certainly shouldn't. If it shows up, the company wants to know about it so they can let that person know that that is not compliant, so it protects the goose that lays the golden egg. We're not going to say that the company paid XYZ percentage that night. That would be problematic, particularly in the U.S., because this is not an investment. So we refer to it as a reward per point. Now, this example, Joe had 100 JPs, Juby points. His total reward based on his 100 JPs and what the company paid out per point that night was $1.25. Now, we're going to get our reward paid to us in Juby bucks. I'll share with you in a few moments what you can do with that Juby buck reward, how you can actually commission or convert some of that into actual commission dollars. Now, here's what's important to get. Here's Joe average, 100 JPs. Sue average, she's built her Juby point total to 1,000 Juby points. She gets the same reward per point, but because she has more points, her reward was higher. She's no better than Joe. She's not superior to Joe. She just happens to have given out more samples that got her more Juby points. Or maybe she's built a semblance of a referral network where she's gotten some commissions, so she had more dollars to purchase more inventory to give away as samples. Now, Julio has 10,000 Juby points that night. Is he better than Sue? No. Is he better than Joe? No. He's just given away, over time, more samples. The more samples you give away, the more you give, the more you get. 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 Now, he earned 125 Juby bucks that night. If you look at this, nice round numbers, the ratios were all the same. He earned 125 Juby bucks. So what's the moral of the story? We want to grow our Juby point totals. What if in time you grew your Juby point totals to 100,000 Juby points? Well, nice round numbers, you would just add a 0 to that number in this example. What if you grew to 500,000 Juby points? What if you grew to 1,000,000 Juby points? And let me share with you what we saw a couple of years ago that changed everything for us. We saw our Joe and Susie average maybe starting off with 100 or so points. And through a process of time, it grew to 500 and 600 and 700. Through a process of time, it was 1,000 and 1,500 and 5,000. Through a process of time, it was 10,000 points or more. And we saw our Susie average, who had been with us for over 8 years, who had never made enough money to cover a monthly auto ship or subscription. She did everything we told her to do. She made a list of 100 people. She called those folks. She invited them to the meeting. Some never showed up. She invited them to the meeting, and some of them came and said, hey, yes, I'm going to join, and then they never returned a phone call. She invited them to the meeting, and some of them said, hey, I'm going to join, and they joined, and then they never returned a phone call. She invited them to a meeting, and they joined and returned a phone call, and they were excited for a week or two, but because they couldn't recruit or sponsor or sell, they dropped out. Am I talking to anyone? If anyone can identify with Sue average, and the person I was just talking about is a real person, put a Y in your questions box. If you know what that feels like, you invited them to the conference call, invited them to the webinar, you did everything you were taught by the big grand poobah leaders to do, and it still didn't work. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that now you have a home. Because not only do we have this phenomenal compensation model, but it's built on a solid foundation of strong products and services with visionary leadership. So how did I qualify to earn daily? It was real simple. As a promoter, we're going to place an ad a day. We're not required to do this right now because we're not ready for the daily revenue. That's going to be coming up in the next few short weeks. When that day comes, we're going to place an ad a day. But I'm not good at the internet. Well, can you simply place one ad, especially if the company prescripts what the ad is and tells you number of places that you can go and place the ad? And plus, many of your great leaders out there will have some sources that will help you get your ads placed in front of highly trafficked areas. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can do that, if you can give away some samples, you get to earn on a nightly basis as the company has revenues to share. The more Juby points you have, the greater your daily potential rewards. Now, I mentioned that I was going to share with you what you can do with your daily rewards, your paid-in Juby bucks. Well, what you can do is you can set your system because you can actually convert as much as 60% of your daily Juby buck reward into commissions. It can go into eCash, and then you can commission that out. Now, what that means is that even if you set to 60%, the great part about this is the company has a built-in mechanism that has you still building your Juby buck balance so you can generate more Juby points. Why? Because even if I said, well, I want 60% or 50% or 10% of my Juby buck reward to go to cash for commissioning purposes, doesn't that mean there's a certain amount that still is going to be in my Juby buck balance? The answer to that is yes. Why did the company do that? So that now you have more inventory, so you can give away more samples, because the more you give, the more you get. The more you give, the more you get. The more you give, the more you get. Let's share just a couple of extra things here, guys and guyettes, and we're going to round third here. There are a number of ways to get to these positions. A J Director, for instance, if you have $15 a month of personal volume, meaning either you sold $15 a month of products and services, or you could have purchased $15 a month of products and services, and we have a monthly subscription at $15 a month, so that would give you your J Director rank. Then all of your Juby points would earn for a period of 80 days. So the beautiful part is you don't have Juby points that earn for a day or 2 or 17. They earn for at least 80 days if you're Jade. If you're Ruby Director, and the path of least resistance is for you to purchase $50 a month worth of products. Well, you do that with our $50 a month subscription, you are at that rank. That gives you the volume. Your Juby points earn for 85 days. They can earn for 95 days. They can even earn for 105 days. So imagine earning points tonight, and they earn for 105 days. You earn points next week. They earn for 105 days. You earn points on March the 17th. They earn for 105 days. You earn points May the 31st. I was going to say 32nd. They earn potentially for 105 days. All right, let's finish with this. This is my half. I said I would show you 1.5 ways. Let's talk about real quickly generational bonus overrides. I believe this is going to happen. We saw this. We're already seeing this here at Juby Rev, Juby Max. There's a young lady out of Delaware. Her name is Pat. My very dear friend and mentor, Zeke, and his lovely wife, Jerry, or I should say friends and mentors, Zeke and Jerry Stewart, they enrolled Pat. Now, Pat, I've known Pat for years. Great people, but much like Sue Average, has a difficult time recruiting people and sponsoring folks. So Pat comes aboard, and Zeke and Jerry tell Pat, well, Pat, you know, the beautiful part is you don't have to recruit or sponsor. And Pat made the mistake of going out and telling someone, hey, you can come over here to Juby Rev, Juby Max, and you can start making money once they start the daily revenue, and you don't have to recruit or sponsor. Well, guess what happened? She recruited that person. And then Pat went to somebody else and said, hey, you know, I'm not good at recruiting or sponsoring, and there's this place over here called Juby Rev, Juby Max, where you're going to be able to earn money every single day, even if you never recruit or sponsor. And then she recruited that person. And she said it again and recruited that person. And this is what we saw, ladies and gentlemen. The person that said I wasn't good at recruiting or sponsoring, when the pressure was taken off and they knew they could earn whether they recruited or not, all of a sudden they would just tell people, hey, come check out Juby Rev, Juby Max. You don't have to recruit or sponsor. You don't have to recruit or sponsor. And in many cases, they by default became recruiters and sponsorers. All right, got to start rounding third here. Let's say that you are a diamond. This should be everyone's goal, is to get to the diamond position as quickly as possible. And then there are some other forms of diamond. But let's just talk about diamond here. So you're a diamond. Whether you started there from day one because you had the wherewithal to have a $200 purchase of your own, of your monthly subscription, or whether you built there over time, at some point you're a diamond. This means that when any of your personally enrolled, when they purchase Juby Bucks as inventory, you're going to get a 10% override. And every night, as we get into the daily revenue, they earn daily. And remember, with what they earn daily, how are they paid? In Juby Bucks. Guess what that means on a nightly basis? You get a commission and override. Every night they earned is every night you're going to get another commission. Why? Because a certain amount of their earnings went to the Juby Buck column. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Let's say you are now at a 10% override rate, 10% commission rate, and you have enrolled Maria. You've enrolled Maria. Now, Maria's gotten started. She's got some Juby points. She places her ad each day. She gives away some samples. She qualifies to earn daily. And on a Sunday night, she is awarded 92 Juby Bucks. That's what went to her Juby Buck balance that night. You get a 10% override. So you earn an additional 10% of the 92, 9.2 Juby Bucks. Now remember, you could have told the system, I want to convert some Juby Bucks into cash for commissioning purposes, or you could have let that go straight to your Juby Buck total. Why would that be important? Because that means now you can use the Juby Bucks yourself if you'd like, or you can give them away, generating more what? Juby points. The next night, on Monday in this example, Maria is awarded 101 Juby Bucks. Well, wait a minute. You get a 10% override that night too, 10.1 additional Juby Bucks. Again, you can convert some of that into commissions. But then on Tuesday night, she's awarded 113 Juby Bucks in this example. You get another 11. Wait. You see, Zeke and Jerry, you see, Zeke, why I had to come to South Carolina and show this to you, my friend? Because for years, Zeke, for years, Jerry, you taught me. The first company we ever built to a seven-figure enterprise was because of your leadership and because of Ian Boomy Moore's leadership. You taught me monthly residual income. And I got to the top, I thought. And then all of a sudden, I look at this model, and this isn't monthly residual income. This isn't weekly residual income. This is daily. Daily. This is why we say every day that Juby Rev, Juby Max can be what? Say it with me. It can be payday. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you need to do now, I've shared with you 1.5 ways that the company pays. There are 10 different ways. I haven't talked about anything about our Juby Suite, which is just amazing. I haven't talked about our luxury card bonus. I haven't even talked about that. I haven't talked about any generational check matching bonuses. Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely amazing. I hadn't talked about you being able to drive around in your Mercedes or your BMW or your Porsche and qualifying for that car bonus. We love each and every one of you. Let's change the world together, starting with yours. And remember, with Juby Rev, Juby Max, it is not just a company. No, it is not. It is a movement. Good night, everyone.